evening, everyone, and welcome to It's a Legit Metaphysical World. And tonight is our live card readings again. Tonight, we actually have three volunteers instead of just two. So it's a very exciting night, a very full show. So we're not going to waste any time, and we're going to bring in Sarah, our card reader for this evening. And there she
Hi.
is. Hi, how are you?
Hello. Good. How are you?
Welcome to our show, and thank you so much for doing this. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Of
I'm
course,
honored.
of course. Now, can you just tell us a little bit about you, just for our viewers? So, how
Sure.
long have you been a card reader for?
I have done this since I was 14 years old, but I haven't done it professionally except for the past 5 years. So,
Mhm.
5 years ago, a gift came again, and it blew up, and here I am, and I've been doing this for it's been such a journey, and it's been such a blessing. So I'm happy to do it.
Well, thank you so much. So, let's just jump right in tonight with our first
Sure.
in. So, buddy, if you could bring in our first volunteer, that would be wonderful. Oh,
Uh-oh.
okay. I don't know where Deb is. Hold on. Oh, where are
I see
you?
vacuum cleaners.
Ah,
Oh, I see dog.
there she is.
Hi.
Dogville.
Here is Deb.
Hi, Deb.
Hi.
Sarah. Thank you.
Well, that was a wonderful way to start our show.
I know, right?
You know, you never know. It is live, so
I
it is
know
what
it's
it is,
true.
guys.
You never know. You never know what's going to happen. What's your dog's name?
The wild one who is barking is Zeke. The
Okay.
nice quiet one is Pep, and another one is out there who's Oscar.
Okay, because all I could see was Zeke. So Zeke
Yeah,
was like,
Zeke
pay
is.
attention to me.
Oh wait, yeah, Dale knows Zeke's whole story. Yes.
So I'm
Okay.
gonna just be quiet. I'm gonna let you two just get to know each other and have the reading, okay?
Okay, that sounds great. So, Deb, what I'm going to do, since you cannot sit in front of me to actually shuffle my cards, I'm going to shuffle for you. So, you don't have to necessarily think about anything. You can kind of just relax, take a breath. And when you want me to stop shuffling, then I will stop shuffling for you. So, what this is, I'm going to tap into your energy, and I'm going to go ahead and focus it on my cards. Okay? So, go ahead, and I'm going to start shuffling. And whenever you want me to stop, just tell me to stop. All right?
Stop.
Okay, that sounds good to me. So the first thing first, when I tap into your energy, I feel like there's a lot of different things that you have going on. It's like your plate is very full at this moment, although what you've been doing is you've been doing one small thing at a time. So it's not that your plate is so full that you're not overwhelmed with everything. I'm not saying that. It's that you know what you can handle at any given moment, and so you handle that. And then you go to the next task and you handle that. It's like all of these. All right, Zeke. All of these things.
You're
No,
gonna be out there. Come here. Come sit on my lap. Okay, come sit on my lap. Come on. I know you want to participate.
I think he wants to see me. I think that's what it is.
This is my life. Let me get rid of a dog.
Yep, no worries. I get it.
Okay, good.
The dogs are feeling the energy, guys.
I know they're like, and it's funny because sometimes when I go to people's houses and do parties for readings, their animals will hang out with me and they don't even know me. But that's what happens. So we just
Yeah.
embrace it and we go with it. So
Oh,
usually
yeah.
it's like, people are like, oh, I'll take care of that. I'll take care of the dog, or, the cat I can put in another room. Like, it's fine. It's absolutely fine.
I mean, I
It,
think they can see things that we necessarily can't.
they
That's just
sure
my
can.
opinion, but I think they can see on a whole different level, and I think they can hear on a whole different level than
They sure
us
can.
humans.
They sure can. And when an animal doesn't like somebody, because they will be, there'll be adverse reactions, growl, bark, hiss,
Yep.
whatever, or avoid that person. And 9 times out of 10, that person, their energy is a little off. I'm not saying that they're bad people, but sometimes their energy is a little off, or sometimes
Yep.
they have ill intentions.
Yep.
So animals can sense it before humans can.
Oh,
Absolutely. I would.
absolutely. And I always
Yep.
go by that.
Yep.
You know,
Exactly.
like,
Yep.
huh, that's a little
I do too.
interesting. you know?
mental note, I'll put that in my back pocket for
Right,
later.
right.
So, and then usually you're right,
Yeah,
usually that
yeah,
happens. But
they are.
I, yep, I like to say that animals they do want to kind of absorb our negative energy and what we have going on. So I always say that animals are like fuzzy pieces of black tourmaline. You know what I mean? They just kind of want to hang on you when you're sad, or they'll lay on you if you've had a rough day. If you get a migraine, which you probably will, this week, if you have an animal in your house, the animal will be attached to you like Velcro because
Oh,
they
yeah.
want to absorb some of that yuck away from you. So I
Isn't
totally
that
believe that.
amazing? That's
Yeah,
really incredible, and you're right. It happens all the time. I
all the
remember
time.
years ago when I had my surgery, I could not get rid of my dog. It was
Hmm.
like physically attached to me for like and I had a long recovery afterwards for like the 8 weeks afterwards.
Yep.
Like I would have to like, oh my God, let me go to the bathroom for 5 minutes, because
Nope.
he's on top of me the entire. And how does he know? How does he know something's wrong with me?
Nope. Nope.
But they
Exactly.
just
Well, he knows because your energy is misaligned or off because you're trying to recover. So they're trying to give you some of their positivity, or even just good stuff to make you feel better, right?
right.
Because what's
Yeah,
better than having an animal near you? They
to
love
make
you.
that's why
Unconditional love.
unconditional love is the perfect right.
That's exactly right. All right. You feel
Okay.
okay, Deb? You
Hi.
good? All right. Whew. Okay. So, like I was saying, so if we've got a plate in front of you, you've got all these different things. We all do. That's a blanket statement. But the way that you've been handling it is a little bit different than the way that you have in the past. It's like you take care of this little subject and then you do this little thing and then you go here and you're like, I know that there's a looming thing going on behind me where I've got all of these other kind of attributes or things or problems or situations all around me, but I know that I can only handle myself accordingly. And I feel like what's been happening is that you've been taking this opportunity to look at things a little bit differently within your life. This has not been yet for, I want to say, you've been doing this not since the beginning of the year, but shortly thereafter. It's like a different perspective on things. We all know we've got shit that we have to unpack, but at the end of the day, you're handling it one small thing at a time. You're not letting a lot of that stuff get to you the way that it used to. Does this make sense for you today?
Hmm.
Good. I'm so glad. All right. So we're going to pull some cards and I'm going to show you what these cards are and we can talk about them. This is more of a conversation. That's how I do my reading. So if something doesn't make sense or you want to chime in, please feel free to do so because, this is for your benefit. I'm doing this so that you get something out of it. Okay. All right. Well, what I just said makes a lot of sense for what I just pulled. Okay. So I did pull that hanged man and he's in the reversed position here for me. So meaning that you've looked at things a little bit differently. You haven't necessarily made some changes just yet. Do you know what I'm saying? So what you've been doing is one small thing at a time. It's like when we're in this weird position sometimes we have to really make sure that we're making the right choices. And by doing one small thing at a time, if you mess up, you can kind of go back and fix or not. Do you know what I mean? You're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, if that's what I'm trying to say here. So what you've been doing is slowly but surely bettering yourself a little bit more and more. This hanged man position isn't hang like this. It's hanging by the feet, meaning that if it was in the other position, it would be that you couldn't move. But here it's reversed, meaning that you are slowly starting to unbind yourself or loosen yourself from some of these things that really had you in a kind of a situation, a sticky situation that you couldn't necessarily get out of before. The reason why your mindset has changed a little bit is because you realize that the world is going to move around you whether or not you do anything or not. It's not that you've given up, it's that you've kind of come to reality a little bit. It's kind of like you realize that this stuff is going to happen whether I'm involved or not. So I'm just going to do what I do. I'm just going to make this happen the way that I know how and not get too twisted up over something that I can't control. Because what that was doing to you was all of the stuff that I'm feeling here in your stomach, it was making you sick sometimes. You don't have, you just do what you do. And that's the way that you're taking it. It's more realistic in approach. And it's not all, I have to finish, I have to do it, this is the deadline. I think if anything, the pandemic has really showed us that we really have to get back to our humanistic qualities, like our humanity, and say, I'm only as good as what I can do. I'm just one person. I can't burn the candle at both ends all the time and expect to jump up and do the rest the next day and do it all over again. So I think that this has been a long time coming for you, regardless. So what I do see is that it's not that you're trying to hit all of these marks and fight all of these battles anymore. You're just doing what you can do. What's better than that? I ask you, because that is kind of coming back down to basics and saying, I'm a human being. I'm just one person and I can only handle what I can handle. And the reason why this is all happening in this way for you is because there has been some certain situations in the past that you have been kind of held close to that fire. And you've been in a position where you've had to make a lot of decisions and you've had to do all of these things. Now, again, this is 20-minute reading, so scratch the surface. I'm not going to go into too deep of a trauma dive, right? We don't need to do that. But if this gives you any sort of affirmation that you are kind of on the right path for yourself, then by all means, take that as it is. It's good stuff for you. The situations that have kind of held you close to that fire, it doesn't mean that they're not still there. It just means that you handle yourself a little bit differently. If this is in regards to your family and some of the members within your family, this makes a lot of sense. They're always going to be around. They're always going to have their problems. They're always going to dump them on you. But it's how you handle yourself a little bit differently. Okay. Do you have any questions about that? Or does that make all sense
No,
to you?
it makes a ton of sense.
Good. I'm so
Dale
glad.
can attest. Yeah.
Okay. All right, good. Now, again, kind of harkening back to what I just said in regards to things are going to happen. Things are going to happen whether you like them or not. There is a situation that kind of has transpired lately where your thought processes have been forced to change. I have that seven. I want to make sure I'm looking at it right. Seven of swords. So swords are how we think about things, how we process things sometimes. So it's really put things into perspective for you. How do you move yourself forward without really getting anybody else kind of involved? That's what the dilemma is. And you know what? From what I said before and from what I can feel about what's happening is that you're doing the best you can. Continue to do that. And you will kind of realize what needs to be done and what needs to be said as case by case basis. So don't get yourself too kind of worked up over what's going to happen in the future. It's one day at a time. Okay. One thing at a time. Because you might feel this way about a certain situation today. You might feel differently tomorrow. It's all about what's up here. So it's totally your perception and what needs to happen, and follow it because you're doing what you need to do in this moment. Okay. Now, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Okay. Are you in a relationship now?
I am.
Okay. Your growth pattern has changed exponentially from what your partner is. I mean, let's be honest. We go in different directions when it comes to who we are as people. Therefore, our partners and the people that we choose to have as interests in our life, in the sense of, more than just a friend, let's say romantic interest for that. We all grow at different rates. We all grow in different ways. And I'm not going to say that your partner isn't seeing what you're doing for the better of yourself, but I think that it's really hard. Can I assume that this is a male?
Yes.
Okay. I think what's happening is that he's unable to kind of meet you where you're going. Okay. And the reason why I say that is because I have that chariot. The chariot is all about decisions. It's all about making the right choices. It's all about going in a different direction, right? So because it is reversed to me, what I am seeing is that doesn't mean that the path is completely covered and he's never going to see it. Although you know how men are, sometimes that's what happens. But I think that for this situation, what's happening is that he just doesn't know the right steps to take to meet you where you need to be met, if this makes sense. So again, when we talked about this in the sense of your perception, not everybody else's and not your partner's. And that's okay. We can't expect people to be on the same kind of trajectory as we are. So I think that by giving him a little bit of grace and understanding that it's a learning curve for him and to understand your perspective, that's okay. It doesn't mean that this is going to be forever where he's going to be like, what is going on here? It's going to be that he just doesn't know what steps to take to get to where you're at. And he might kind of not, and I'm not going to say this is going to be like it's going to be like a roadblock in certain ways where you're going to be like, we just had this conversation. What are you thinking about? And, it's like he's kind of not thinking. That's okay. because his rate of growth is different than yours, especially when it comes to certain situations that are surrounding you at this moment in time. So again, giving him a little bit of grace and saying like, I know it's like just letting him do what he's got to do for a little while. Eventually, what will happen is he will see what you're trying to say or what you're trying to accomplish. So, by giving him a little bit of patience within your life, it kind of will help you in the long run. Because what will happen is that he'll get to that point where he'll also understand that these things need to be done. I do pull and if you know anything about tarot, I've got that king. I don't know if you guys, there we go. That's probably better. I am using the Golden Art Nouveau tarot. It's one of my favorites. I use it in my office all the time. So it's very pretty deck. But anyway, lots of pretty sparkly shine. So this King of Swords is all about making things in a certain way, compartmentalizing, right? It is all about what their perception is. So again, like I say, if you give him a little bit of grace so that he can see where you are, then maybe he'll follow suit. Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that kind of bring him on into what's going on, right? Because then he will go with the program. What works? This works. Sometimes what happens is, and we know this as people who are in relationships, your partner doesn't always see what you see. And sometimes by giving them a little space and backing off, they can kind of follow suit and be like, oh, okay, yep, now I get it. Or, yep, I understand where you're coming from. Or if they don't say that they understand, because that also happens, they'll just do what you've been doing. And you'll be like, I've been doing that all along, you know? So this is going to happen. So let's just, realize in all of that your relationship is changing because you've kind of started that pattern of movement to go forward. Okay. So this relax in all of that. Again, it's another piece on that big plate that you're like, it's going to happen the way that it needs to happen. And I don't really have to get too nuts about it because it's just going to work. It's going to work. Okay. Any questions about that? No? Cool. Okay. Do you have a son or a young man in your life?
Several, yes.
You have several. Okay. Well, I'm going to describe some of the characteristics that I see here, and then you can kind of tell me which one this is. Okay. This guy has been through a lot when it comes to very passionate about who he is as a person, very enthralled with what he's been doing within his life. He's very, engaged and kind of really in this certain situation where he's like, this is the vein I'm going in. I'm going. Lately, there has been a little bit of a twist. There has been a little bit of a bump in his road where he hasn't been able to really meet those guidelines like he so thought he was going to. Does this make sense to any one of your several sons?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can I have a first initial? We don't need to know his name, but a first initial will help me kind of decipher. N. Okay. So N, in the way that he is, if you give him a task, he's going to accomplish it. Right now, his boundaries and the way that he thinks about things have become very skewed. And it's not for any reason except for this is kind of his time to really invest and think about different things besides that one direction, right? Maybe there's a monkey wrench thrown into his plan. We know that it's okay to figure out where that monkey wrench goes. For him, it's so hard to figure out where it fits. This is something that he feels that he's lost control over. He feels that he has no way out over. And I'm not saying this is detrimental to his life. This is just blanket statement in general, right? So I think that he's lost control, and I'm going to use air bunny quotes when I do that, because what is happening is that it's like a monkey wrench that's thrown into the plan. We know that happens. You've got to go with the flow. You got to figure out how you bounce back from that. Life is not a bowl of cherries. It literally is a bunch of shit that we have to unpack and we have to look at, right? And if you handle this effectively, then you're good. And if you don't, you get a little kind of sidetracked. And I think that's what's happening here. And can figure out his way. And the reason why we're talking about him in this way is that also your involvement in this is very indirect because you can't force him to do any sort of thing. But what you can do is that you can kind of guide him and be the voice of reason in different ways. Whether or not he listens to you is another thing that I can't help you with. But eventually, what will happen is that he will see that this lack of control is exactly what he needed to see another side or another facet of what is going on. Okay.
Sarah, we have
Is,
about 3 minutes on.
okay, cool. Does is there a baby or a child involved with any of these? Okay.
Oh, hell no. No,
Okay.
You just made
that's dogs. That's dogs.
No. Okay. Just dogs. Okay. And let's be honest, sometimes dogs are our children. Okay. So what I see with this is that he's kind of in a way of, and I'm not saying that there's babies, please don't quote me on that one. I see other energies involved with this that it's really been something that he's trying to focus on, but he's unfortunately able to do that. And what I mean by that, it's newness. It's something incredibly new and it's something incredibly different that he's never experienced before. He has a lot of love where he is. He's just really looking for how that kind of fits into all of his way. Okay. So when I see that newness, I do see that idea of eyes wide open, much like a child would look at. So I'm not saying you're having any babies. There are fur babies that are all around you, though, and all around your family. So I don't know if, I mean, obviously we've all had pets that we've lost, but you have many different that are all around you. Okay. I don't know if you see birds a lot and think about loved ones who have passed, but there are crows all around you right now, and crows are a sign of intelligence. So if it harkens back to what we talked about with you in the beginning about picking one small thing at a time, your ascension is a little bit different in the way that your intelligence is going, right? You're figuring out how to calm yourself, how to figure out yourself in different ways. And I feel like this situation that is revolving around your son, it's going to rectify itself the way that he needs it to. Okay. Do you have any questions for me? I know that we had short time. No.
No, I'm taking notes of everything. I'll process it, believe me. 47
Okay.
times.
I did see you taking notes. I'm like, she's taking notes during this.
Yeah.
You know it.
Well,
You know it.
thank you. Thank you for that. So the newness that is happening within your life, you're going to embrace it, whether it's your own direction, your partner's direction, or your son, which only one son that we could talk about. So it is going to happen. Everything's going to work in the way that it should. Trust the process, and you honestly will be okay. You know?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Deb, for
You're
joining us. I really
Thanks so much,
appreciate it.
Dale.
You're welcome. And I hoped it helped. I hope, I just hope everyone gets a little clarification in these things. And that's all we can hope for, right?
Right.
100%.
Thank you, sweetie.
All right.
Bye. It was nice to meet you.
You too. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was really good, Sarah. That was awesome.
Thank you.
I love your
Thank
cards. Those are fabulous.
I know, right? They're beautiful. Golden Art Nouveau. And they're
They
small
really are.
enough where, it's not like the big honking decks. So they're small enough and they fit really well. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't
Definitely
stand
check
it's
'em
so
out.
hard to maneuver those big ones, right? I don't like
know.
those either.
Nope.
Yeah. Okay, buddy, whenever the next person is ready, you can bring her in too. I'm not sure if she's ready yet. It is Jen. We don't have a picture.
Okay. Hi.
Jen, is your camera on?
Yeah, hold on. Loading. I'm on my phone too. I don't know if.
Okay, we're not getting a picture from you. We're hearing you, Jen. We're just not getting.
Yeah, we can hear you. Oh, there was something.
There was
There was something.
there was
There was
something.
something. Now she has no
No, there's no. Yeah, buddy.
mic.
You want to bring her out and bring the next person in while she figures it out? There we go. We'll see what happens. This is live, guys. This is live.
I know. This is
What
live.
happens sometimes. Did you get, I mean, I thought you were really right on with Deb. I mean,
Yep.
just with her experience, her expressions and her smiles and everything. I think it was hysterical. She was actually taking notes. And
Really?
oh yeah, she had a whole pad next to her. She was writing
No,
notes.
I know. I know.
Oh, there we
Yeah. Hi,
go.
Jen. Hi. I'm
Jen,
glad she took notes.
she's muted, bud. I'm not sure if she can unmute.
Yep,
There we
there.
go. Perfect. Okay.
Notice I went like this, but
Thank you so much for joining us, Jen. We really appreciate it. This is Sarah. This is our card reader for this evening. So I'm just going to back up and just observe, and you two can interact, okay?
Sounds good.
hi, Jen. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you too.
So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to shuffle for you because we can't do this in person, and that's usually how I get energy from the other person. So I'm going to shuffle for you. Just take a deep breath. You don't have to think about anything in particular. You can just relax. And I want you to tell me when you want me to stop. So I'm going to tap into your energy and shuffle for you. So just let me know when you think I've done enough. Okay. Okay. Now, it's funny. I've never, ever done that for somebody else where I took the cards, and I'm not going to do it now, but I took them and stuck them, like I took them in half and stuck them like this. You have your hands in a lot of different things. So you are doing all of these things. I've never done that before, but all I could hear was hands in a lot of fingers in a lot of pots, hands. She got all over the place. So if you are doing all of these things, you're very active in what you are doing. Okay. If you work with your hands, if you're constantly doing things with your hands, if you work with your hands all day and then you go home and you do other things with, you knit or you craft or you're always that's what you do all the time. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. Are you not able to keep yourself quiet in the sense of like you're always cracking knuckles and doing stuff? Okay. And honestly, hands are one of our biggest sensory organs, right? So that we will be able to feel touch. That could be kind of part of who you are as a person in general. How you get a good feeling on something is that you want to touch it, you want to hold it, you want to look at it. Like, oh, I want to look at all of this. I want to touch it. I want to feel if it's cold. Do you know what I mean? That is one of the best things that you could possibly do. And I think that it really heightens your intuition at some points because by looking at it and then touching it, you can actually feel some of the vibrations of different things that you do within your life. So continue, don't think of it as like, oh, I'm always doing something. It's good that you're doing that.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me pull a couple of cards for you. Oh, you've got some of my faves. So the first card that I pulled for you, I've got that Ace of, is it raining? Oh my goodness. I've got that Ace of Cups here. So there's things about you that you have really taken a lot of stock in when it comes to what your blessings are. So aces are a symbol from the universe saying that, you're doing all the things. It's like a gift from the hand of wherever you want to say it, because literally it's a hand coming out of nowhere. More hands. Get out of town. So it's a hand coming from nowhere to give you this opportunity to thank whatever is going on. So if you are very grateful and you have a lot of faith in who you are as a person, your upbringing, some of the things that have brought you to where you are today, this is a symbol, of that. Also in this card is the white dove of peace. So your fulfillment looks different than others. You look for those simple things. You look for those ideas of, that really brought me joy, and I'm really happy to do that, and you're thankful. It's like a lot of hugs from up above, if that makes sense to you, that come your way, and you recognize that and say, yep, I know that was for me, and I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. The other thing that really comes to mind with all of this is that the family is really important to you. So whether that's your own family or the one that you've created, or if it's the one that's kind of surrounding you, we don't always pick our family sometimes, or we're not always born to our family. Sometimes we pick our family. I should kind of reword that. And wherever you are, you always immerse yourself within that family environment. So what that looks like to me is that you never make anybody feel uncomfortable. You never, you're always, it's always an inclusion of some kind. And I think that it comes from who you are as a person and what you really kind of put out there in the world of it should be kind. We should be nice to each other. We shouldn't have these ideas of that this is mine and you can't have it. It's like we really want to involve everybody in a certain way. And the reason why I say that is because I have that 10 of pentacles. Tangible items, again, with your hands, right? So tangible items mean something to you: a hug, an embrace, a pat on the back, just something that that's just your language of love in different ways of how to really get people involved and to show that you really care about them. There has been certain situations lately that have put a distance between you and to do that. So I'm not sure if you have relatives that are that live farther away, or that you haven't seen in a while, or that you really wish that you could just grab them and hug them, and this can also be that people who have passed, but I do feel like this is more of there are people around you that you wish you could just get up and go to the next room and see them and be with them. And unfortunately, that cannot happen at this moment in time, and that's okay. And the reason why I say that that's okay is because of this card right here. Your blessings transcend. Okay, so what you do, see how that cup has all that light all around it?
Mm.
What you do is that your love just transcends time, and what you do is you put that good stuff out there, that all that good Sheeta, the good vibes, whatever you want to call it. And it doesn't matter distance, it doesn't matter location, it doesn't matter where that person is, it's always getting it back. So does that make sense to you today?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad. Because sometimes we think that we're doing the things that we're supposed to do, right? And nobody ever tells us. We just kind of go with it and feel it. And I think that by this kind of a conversation, I want you to realize in all of this, or I invite you to realize, is that what you're doing is so important because not a lot of people can do this. So the way that I would look at this is that inherently you are a healer, whether you believe it to be so or not, even if it's not close proximity. Okay. So, the other thing that I want to talk about in the sense of like why things are not exactly the way that you think they are, in the sense of like that you really want to see certain people that you can't, is that you come to terms with this and you realize that as limited space could be, that you are doing all of your best things to make sure you're putting up all the prayers or whatever it is that you're doing so that everybody has the best way to do that. Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you if you are also in a relationship,
Yes.
a partnership. Okay. This person, soul connection, soul connection. So, like electricity across the room. Okay. And it's been that way for a really, really long time. I'm not saying that it stayed that way. Let's be honest. I mean, we get older and things change, right? But every once in a while, it's still like that electric kind of reaction in different ways. There is a certain situation that you are facing in this moment where things are, you are progressing in a different way, where your partner may be doing other things. And there's a lot that you are internalizing, or that your partner tends to internalize and is unable to communicate with you. That is not a detriment to your relationship. That's not the be all end all. That is just part of what happens into the nitty gritty of being in a relationship with somebody. Sometimes we get in our own heads, and sometimes we can't see outside of that door per se, right? So this has been kind of occurring. The reason why I do say this is because I have that 9 of swords. So as you can see, there's a person in bed here, right? So, excuse me, when we internalize things, sometimes we can't sleep. Sometimes we can't relax. Sometimes we can't rest. Sometimes we are very, like, our mind is on something, I should have said this, or I should have had this, or, that kind of a thing. But what is important to realize in all of this, especially with the symbolism in this card, is that there's a blanket that this person has, right? So as much as we may get all twisted up and all crazy within our heads about the shoulda, woulda, couldas, there's a lot of peace within that because we're we're meant to let that go in some sort of fashion. I'm not saying that you need to have a big long conversation with anybody except yourself in all of this to say, these are my truths. I really need to get that out of my head so that I can accurately go ahead and talk about these things, right?
Mm.
It's not a terrible way. It's not a terrible way to be because honestly, the end of the day, what's going to happen is that you need to speak your truth. You need this and this to connect so that it can come out, right? So if you do any light work, which I'm not sure if you do, you could possibly do that based on these cards that I showed you earlier with you and the kindness and spreading your light all over the place. If you do any light work, I would absolutely focus more so on that throat chakra area. And if you're into any sort of crystals, anything blue, especially lapis, is going to help you kind of project what needs to be said. What needs to be said will come out of effectively. I've got that Queen of Swords here. She has an agenda. Sometimes her agenda just needs to come out. Okay, it's the plan. I've been planning this, I've been talking about it. Now that it's out, I can kind of go about my business now. So, those conversations that you need to have with yourself first, come up with some sort of plan to get what you need out because it needs to happen. It's again, your soulmate for whatever is happening with this is included in this. If not, that is what's going on in general, but it's an inclusion of that. So you want to make sure that that continues. Do you know what I mean? Because the more that you allow this reaction to happen, the worse you're going to feel when you don't get it out, right? It's like you need to get it out. Okay. Does that kind of make sense for you in your life?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I can see.
Okay.
We're trying to like think about different scenarios, but yeah.
Got it. Okay, and this again, 20-minute reading, not a deep dive into what's going on and to air out your dirty laundry
Mm-hmm.
on a live broadcast, right? So I'm trying to use very selective words so that
Right.
but
Right.
this is the sentiment I'm getting with that, of course. Do you have any questions or anything that would help you to understand that a little bit differently or anything like that?
What did you say about the blue? I didn't get that part when you said the blue sapphire or something. I didn't understand what that
Blue
meant.
sapphire.
Or what
Ooh.
did you say?
Um,
Blue
I
some.
said
Oh,
lapis, any blue stone. So if we have different colors that signify our chakras, right?
yeah.
Our voices, it's blue here, right? So if you're into any sort of crystals, I just effectively use this in some of my approach. I will hold on to a blue crystal. I will even put it on my throat, and it's really to help you kind of speak your truth in a different way. It helps you kind of convert the thought into your mouth to let it out. So it's a whole lot of this, right? So anything blue is going to help kind of project that. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we'll put a pin in that for a second and we'll talk about different things. Okay. Now, again, you working with your hands or doing something where you have your hands in all these different places, effectively what you are doing is you are juggling. Now, if you're a mom, this is what we do, period, amen. Just juggle all the time. Pick things up, put things down, pick things up, there's truth to that commercial way back in the day, right? And what you have been doing, you've been doing all of the things. You do it kind of effortlessly in different ways. And I think that what's happening too is that not that you're not getting help, it's that you are just doing it kind of without any sort of rhyme or reason in the sense that you haven't necessarily put a lot of effort or work into this. It's just that you're doing all of the motions and all of the things and all of the ways, right? So, what I want to say about that is that sometimes when that happens and we don't get a lot of support in the ways that we're asking for or that we're looking for, we might not even know what that looks like. But you get kind of overwhelmed in this funk of I'm doing all the things that I'm juggling and I'm hoping that things don't hit the ground. There's always movement with you and there's always something in the air. So I've got that 2 of Pentacles going on, right? So you're always juggling. It's always emotion. It's always happening, right? And sometimes it's hard to delegate or sometimes it's hard to give up some of the things that you're working on for fear of that they're not going to do it in the same way that you would, or you're going to have to clean up after the fact. Let's be honest, that happens often. But I think that what's happening is that this perspective of this rigmarole thing that you've been doing all this while, you have to let some things go. You have to learn how to delegate and say, this is what I need you to do today, now, in 5 minutes, whatever it looks like, because you need a break in some of the things that are going on. And if this is kind of what that conversation is going to revolve around, so be it. That's what it's going to do, right? You do it well, you do it without thought, but you know what? It gets monotonous and it gets pretty crazy. And right now, I think what's happening is that that's what your life is all about at this moment in time. It doesn't mean that you can't do it. It just means that sometimes you got to pass that load on a little bit. Okay. Does that kind of make sense?
Yes, perfect sense. It would be.
I mean, doing all the things at all the times, I get it.
Yeah.
And sometimes effectively trying to have somebody help you, then you have to clean up their mess too. Like,
Yep.
just pick up your socks, you know? But I think what happens is that once we get in our own selves and kind of get stuck in here about what that looks like, it makes it worse. Do you know what I'm saying? And so then the process repeats, and then the stuff you're juggling gets heavier, and then it gets more, and then you're adding more things into it. And like moving all of these moving pieces all around and making this happen can be really tiresome and really cumbersome for you. So let it out, have the conversations. You know what I mean? And the other side of that coin, no pun intended, but maybe yes, pun intended, is that what happens here too is that you have to let go. So if you do all the things and you do them effectively and you do them without thought, you know, and then somebody jumps in to help you out, don't think about cleaning up that mess. Just let it happen. Just let it happen. Because that's tough. That's really tough. And that's kind of like a mind burner in a certain way. Do you know what I mean? But I think that effectively, if you start small in that way, it will help you in what needs to go forward. Okay.
Now you have 5 minutes on with her.
Okay.
Emma.
So I'm gonna pull a couple more cards. Oh, girl, hold please, hold please. All the family, all the things, all the kids, all the. Okay, and why I say this is because I've got goosebumps. I don't, Dale, you might get goosebumps when you see this because you know tarot. Is that I pulled the Ace of Pentacles, the Ace of Swords, and then before that, the first one you got was the Ace of Cups. This is like a trifecta of awesomeness. So again, they're all hands that come out of the universe, right? And if you want, I can take a picture and send this to you so that you'll have it, so that you know you'll be able to kind of dive into it at a different time. But they're all hands and they all give you different things. So the Ace of Pentacles is all about tangible items within our lives, right? So the universe is going to reward you with that as well. This can be newness in the sense of money or, you know, job or property or anything like that. But I don't think that it necessarily pertains to that for you. I think that what's happening is that the universe sees what's going on and is going to give you some relief in some of the things that you may be witnessing or feeling. I'm not saying that your life is terrible. What I'm saying is just sometimes we just need a break. Then I get the Ace of Swords here. So the Ace of Swords is all about empowerment. There's a crown here. I know it's shiny. Sorry. There's a crown here. It's all about empowerment, right? All of these things that you do it effortlessly, like we talked about. But honestly, no one can do it like you do. So all of this makes a lot of sense for who that you are, right? The last card that I do want to show you that is kind of the icing on the cake or the cherry or the sprinkles or whatever you're into is that 10 of Cups. It's the happy family card. You're doing all of this in a selfless way. Ultimately, this whole reading has been about all of the beautiful things that you do and how sometimes you may just need to hear that. You keep everything together. You put that rainbow together for everybody. It's all about fulfillment for this. We started with a cup and we ended with a cup. I really, and like two of the most powerful cup cards there could possibly be. This is an incredible card to get. They're dancing, they're happy, they're involved with each other. They're just so, you spread that light to get there. I have goosebumps. That's what you do. So I hope that this made sense to you. Do you have any questions for me?
I don't think so. I'm taking
Okay. I know that was a lot. That was a lot. I'm sorry. I'm like, blah, blah, blah. Right. That was a lot. And I apologize. But honestly, like, this is beautiful. This really, truly is beautiful. And that is a reflection of you as a person. So we started with this, with the dove and the peace, right? And the whole idea of fulfillment. And we ended with even better. What happens when you bend light? You make it turn into a rainbow. And that's what you do. Seriously, this is
Wow. That's
this is the
beautiful.
most beautiful reading.
I
So
feel
I wish I I wish you all the best. I really do.
Thank you so much, Jen, for joining us. I mean, that was just beautiful. That really was a beautiful reading. I hope that made you feel as wonderful as it was to sit here and witness it, because that was really incredible.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Take it all in.
Okay. Wow, that was, yes, that did give me goosebumps. That
I
was
know, me too. I still
incredible.
have
My
them.
gosh. That was wonderful. What a wonderful reading for her. Okay, do you need a few minutes? Or
No, I'm good. I'm
you're
good.
good?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Stephen.
Hi, Auntie Dale. How are you?
I'm good. I'm
I
good.
love that.
Thank you.
Hi,
I'm
Sarah.
becoming an auntie.
Hi,
for so many
Stephen.
people. So I'm going to step back, and you and Sarah will have a conversation now. Okay?
Sure.
Hi, Stephen. It's a pleasure.
It's nice to meet you too, Sarah.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do for you today is that I'm going to tap into your energy by shuffling the cards. So because you cannot sit in front of me and do it yourself, I'm going to do it for you. So all you have to do is take a nice deep breath. Don't think about anything in particular. Just it's very organic in what will happen. So just tell me when you want me to stop. How about that? Okay. All right. So here we go.
Okay.
Okay. So first things first, I'm not sure if you lost your mom or if you lost a mother figure. Because she is giving me prayer hands to give to you. Like she keeps saying to me, my bright shining light, my bright shining light. So I don't know if that was somebody very important to you, but she is on the other side very important that she is saying for you right now. So if you do not, I should rephrase, do you have this ability? Are you an empath, a sensitive? Do you think of yourself in this way to match and read energies with certain people?
I do. It's something I probably should work on,
Yep.
but I'm very sympathetic to other people and I can absorb their pain. Yeah.
Okay. So, and again, with your, is it your mother that has departed because she is still standing here?
Um, Not my mother, but possibly my grandmother.
Okay, because she is giving me mother love in the sense of like sometimes what happens is that grandparents love their grandchildren so much differently than a mother. It's like overpowering love and unconditional love, right? As parents, we tend to get stuck in the day to day where we love
Yeah.
our kids all right, but grandparents, just there's
Yeah.
some other element. She keeps giving me this big, huge heart to keep giving you, and she's giving me prayer hands. And she's also talking about praying in general, like maybe faith based or in that way of how she kind of lived her life.
You kind of hit
Okay.
the nail on the head.
Okay.
I've over the past 2 years with things that's happened, I've really felt her around me more than
Okay.
the other spirits on the other side.
I started shuffling those cards and she stood right here. And I call these people that step in like this your gatekeepers. They're like your metaphysical bouncers, right? So what they do is like they're your guardian angel, if you will. They're going to make sure that nothing happens and no yuck comes in, and they're going to take care of all the things that you need.
That
So
was
she
one
is
of the
that
questions
person to
I
you.
had. Yeah.
She is that. What is her name so I can call her by name?
Christina.
Okay. Okay. So she is absolutely part of your life still, and she will continue to send you signs. I would not be surprised if a lot of them are faith based in what that they are. So if you look and you see you look up and there's like Mother Mary on somebody's on somebody's lawn, or you look up and there's a church, or there's a cross or a crucifix, or like it's all faith based that she's giving me. So it's again, it's not congruent to who you are as a person. It's just a reminder of her. Okay. It's just, and you might, it might flash across the screen somewhere, or you might be looking at something and some scripture comes up or a verse or something, and that is her. Is all over you. And what I mean by that in a really positive way is that she just wants you to realize that you're not alone in what is happening with you, and that you are literally, she is right by your side. So if there's been some stuff going on, You absolutely have the power of the people who love you that have passed with you as you kind of go through what you're doing. Okay. All right. She is a very strong presence.
Yes.
Okay. And this makes a lot of sense because I'm going to throw a couple of cards now. It makes a lot of sense for what I had just pulled for you. So I did pull, there's my camera. I did pull that Four of Swords. And the Four of Swords signifies a little bit of a repose, a little bit of reflection, self-reflection, a little bit of a meditation. So that would make a lot of sense for what your grandmother is kind of coming through and telling me is that you're preying on what's happening in the sense of like you're really putting good faith in a certain way so that things happen in the way that they should, in the way that would make sense. You know, you're putting a lot of stock in the higher ups, or whatever it is up there, right? Whatever you believe in to make your life a little bit more easy and a little bit better in a certain way, right? We put a lot of faith in things that really we don't necessarily have scientific proof or anything like that, but we really feel that it's there. And as an empath and as somebody who really understands energies, you know that what you're doing will begot some reward or some sort of resolution. Resolution is probably a better answer for that, right? So you're trusting all the processes. You're doing all of the things that you're supposed to, that your grandma Christina was telling you that you should have done, right? Because it's all happening in this way.
Hmm.
What you are experiencing is a transition. Okay. And I do have that death card. Death does not mean that anybody is going to die. Death is a transformation of sorts, right? In order for something to come, we need something to go. So
Hmm.
what this is that this is reversed as well. So this transition, I feel like, has been happening for a little bit of a time period. We do go through transitions within our lives every 7 to 13 years. And I feel like you're on the back end of this. Like it should have happened a little while ago, but instead it's kind of residual in the sense that you're not necessarily completely done with it. That's okay. And the reason why I say that it's okay is because you have such a strong faith that things are going to work out in the way that you need them to. Okay. So continue to have that because there's nothing that anybody could take that away from you. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Nothing that anybody could do. Okay. So, whatever you are going through in the sense of the transformation that you are going from point A to point B, I do feel like it is on the physical plane and it is tangible items because I do have that Ace of Pentacles reversed. Universe isn't done yet with whatever lesson is happening, right? And it is a lesson, and it is a lesson that you are learning, and you are learning it slowly but surely. But that's okay because what you're doing is you're effectively changing your methods, therefore, after. Okay. So I hope that that kind of makes sense.
It
Is
makes
that
perfect sense. Yes.
okay? Okay. So let me continue. There is there is a journey that you are witnessing in this way, and I do feel like it is more of a physical journey for you. And again, it's funny that I said point A to point B because there's a lot of planning that has to go into this. So if this is you're downsizing, you're moving, you're kind of moving locations, you're moving actual being in the sense of like even work environment, lots of things are literally picking up and moving forward. So I feel like this transition has been a long time coming, but it's really necessary for you to live your life in a certain way. You're doing it. You have the faith that you're going to be able to do it effectively, even though it's taking a little bit longer, but that's okay because you're doing it the way that you should. Okay.
Exactly. And to support what you're saying, what I've been going through has been a 2-year journey
Hmm.
that I thought was going to happen this January, but it's been extended. So, I know I have to keep patience and faith um, through this. Yeah.
And Grandma Christina is right there saying that I'm going to send you the signs so that you're doing the things that, that you are realizing that it's okay. Don't lose hope because that's important.
Hmm.
And you haven't. So that's, I mean, there's a reflection of that within you as well. Sorry, there's a train that goes by my office. So there's a reflection in you as well because this is not only is it a physical transformation from point A to point B, but it's also going to be a spiritual transformation. I would not be surprised if you start to get more downloads, or if you start to get more signs that you need to be on a different path in the sense of your own spirituality, as
Mhm.
well as a metaphysical presence, right? So, like I said in the beginning, if you don't already do some sort of light work, I wouldn't be surprised if you wanted to learn more about it or get yourself more involved with different things and kind of heighten your abilities a little bit, because you do have that way of tapping into that sixth sense. Okay. And this, again, this transformation is kind of a culmination of that. It's just another thing that you're gonna, oh my gosh, I'm called to do this, I'm gonna do it, I have faith that this is what I'm supposed to do. Oh wow, okay. So with that said, hold the phone, because honestly, I've just pulled the magician card.
Hmm.
Right? So the magician, we know him to be on the outside of the Rider Waite deck. It's the guy that holds the candle at both ends, or the wand, you know what I mean, with the, and he has the table, right? So he's very recognized. This magician has all of the tools at his disposal on the table that he's utilizing. The magician makes shit happen. And you might not have felt that you're in this position for a little bit of a time frame here, but the more that you embrace what is happening, the more that you go forward within your life and realize that some of these things that have occurred are just stepping stones, and they're just a learning, experience all the way around, that you're getting closer to this magician of idea of, I can do this to make my life what I need it to be. I can go here and be fulfilled. I can think about this in a different way. You It's amazing that this has come out, because this is a very spiritual card. There's a dichotomy of sorts in the idea that there's life and death, and that what is happening is like you're living what you can at this moment in time, because ultimately the other transition would be to the other plane, and you're making sure that you're doing all the things that you're supposed to while you're here. So it's more of that spiritual journey as well, right? So embrace the things that are happening. Take them as, instead of, you getting kind of kicked when you're down, or some of the things that have been going on, it's that eventually I will be fulfilled in some sort of way. I need to handle myself accordingly, because the magician tells you that you are magic. So I hope that you feel that in some sort of way, and you're becoming more kind of steeped in that, and more like, understanding of that as well. Doesn't mean that you're going to go to, kids' birthday parties and pull a rabbit out of your hat. What this means is that you're looking at things with eyes wide open and understanding all of the processes that go into it, even if there isn't anything that can be proven, right? It's like trusting that faith.
Right.
So I love all of this for you, because really what's happening is that not only do you have your gatekeeper, your bouncer, telling you that you're on the right track, you also have all of these affirmations saying that even though life has been kind of sucky and you haven't gotten what you were looking for, it's still been a journey, and you're still doing the things that you need to do to get from point A to point B. So this is all wonderful stuff. I do feel like there are some family issues that have been coming about, where there might have been some disagreements, there might have been some separation, there might have been different things going on within your life. And I do feel that, you're realizing again that this isn't forever, this too shall pass. And that it's very intermittent about what's happening, right? It doesn't define what's happening. Okay. I hope that that makes sense as well.
It does.
Do you have any questions or anything that I can touch more upon for you in those two?
Yeah, well, I've been getting
Or whatever.
I've been getting a lot of signs from the universe, and I credit my grandmother for that too. But I also feel there's like a group of people out there
Oh
watching
yeah.
me.
Yep.
I didn't know if there's any way we could like maybe identify who they could be, um, and why they're
So
coming together.
your gatekeeper, in the sense of who that she is absolutely going to make sure that other people are seen and heard, in the sense of that you're understanding them. So I do feel like this is another grandmother figure that is there. She is literally baking me pies, baking me things. We have Easter coming up. I'm not sure what your nationality is. I come from an Italian family. We bake a lot of pies. Good Friday's coming. We're going to be baking that ragazza pie and that rice pie. So she's making me, and she wants to get to know me through my belly, which I don't have a problem with that. Did you have a grandmother or a loved one like that who would like to cook and bake things, especially?
The same grandmother, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, boy, is she's just a lovely person who wants to feed me, and I appreciate that. I wish I could eat all the things that she made. So okay, so I do feel like that she was so. All right, how am I going to describe this? She was two different people, if this makes sense. So if she was, this spiritual being and this pious person, like she literally was a different person behind closed doors in a very positive way, right? So she was very open and very honest, and did a lot of things for her community, right? She literally would go behind closed doors and do all the things for the smaller people. So she, volunteered, or if she made things for people, or if she was, she was very quiet in who she was, right? So she was very active in her community. She wasn't so, out front about what that was. That's what I'm trying to kind of say here. So she made a lot of things behind closed doors. She would drop it off and just leave and not ask for any accolade or ask for any sort of recognition. Like she literally would just do that out of the goodness of her heart. So, but people knew that it was her. So she is showing me two different sides to her, if this makes sense. Did she have a part in raising you as well? I'm
Yes.
sorry, your grandmother is like literally taking over. I apologize. You know how this works. I can ask
Yeah.
for everybody. You also have a gentleman who is standing here too. I'm not sure if he's related to her, but he's stepping back from her and he's letting her go. Now, if you get readings from different people, does your grandmother come out a lot? Because her energy is super, super strong.
Actually, this is my first real reading that I
Oh
have.
my God. Oh my God. Well,
But-
if you ever got another one, I wouldn't be surprised if she was like full force, because she really is. You also, like I said, have a gentleman who's kind of standing back and letting her talk, kind of in awe of like, oh my God, because she's just going for it. I do feel like they are related. So if this is either her husband or a brother of hers, he is standing by. Are you named after anybody in your family?
No, I'm not.
Okay, not a middle name, not the same initial or anything. Do you have anybody else who is named after anybody on your grandmother Christina's side? Because she is pointing to the name.
No.
Okay. All right. We can put a pin in that. We don't always, we don't always have the greatest way of, because like it's like a game of telephone. Sometimes I get it, and sometimes I'm like, all right, I don't know what that means. So I do feel that there is an importance of either the name. So if you have her last name or if you kept her last name, we can put a pin in that and figure that out. Okay. Or if there's anybody in your family, that's it. Again, this gentleman that is standing here, he is showing me a military flag. So I'm not sure how that relates to you within your life. Okay. And he's very meticulous about folding it. So to me, that idea of being very meticulous, he was like OCD about his life in certain ways. Like, don't touch my tools. Don't do this.
That would be my grandmother's brother,
Okay.
who passed away, but we were a large part of his passing and military funeral.
Got it.
and,
Yep. Everything was very succinct and in a pattern of a certain way for him. So if there were paperwork or if there were like things that you needed to find, you didn't have a problem finding them. He was not a man that hid, money in the rafters, unfortunately. He didn't have to dig up coffee cans to know where everything is. That's a different person. No, I'm just kidding. But I think that you have very strong energy, and what is happening with that is that also your people who have passed are going to come through in other ways for you. So again, most people, like, we look outside, we see a cardinal, it's beautiful, we pick up a dime, it's wonderful, makes you think of different people. You literally see these folks. So you either have dreams about them and they're very vivid and they're very present, or you literally see or smell or feel their presence. I feel like they come to you a lot. You do have a lot of people that stand by as well. I'm not sure if you, because I'm getting the word shaman. I'm not saying that you are a shaman. If you've done any shamanic work or if you're looking for that, that could be your next adventure as well. And that's a person of importance in the sense of that spiritual kind of guidance. And it wouldn't be surprising of why your grandmother Christina was kind of bringing that person in as well. So if this is any sort of native connection that you have, or if that's where you're kind of going with some of the things that you feel that you're called to do, I would not be surprised if it kind of took you on this journey. Okay.
Okay.
Sarah, excuse me, 2 minutes.
Sure. So that being said, we were kind of all over the place, but Do you have any questions for me or anything that I can help you with? This was honestly a wonderful experience for me because your folks on the other side, especially your grandmother, is so strong that she wanted messages right away.
Right. No, you actually answered the questions that I came into the room with. And
Really?
I'm very surprised when you hit it right on the head.
Nice.
You were surprised? I'm just kidding.
Well, you're the first one, Sarah. You know, like
I
come
know,
on.
right? Yeah.
That's
I'm so
very
happy
cool.
I could help you with that, though. I'm so happy that I could help you. Let me just throw one more card just to kind of give you a little bit of a synopsis of what's happening. Um, Divine intervention. So this is the Lovers card. Last year was the Lovers year. So if we add that number down, 2022, we get to the Lovers, which is number 6. So that being said, a lot of things happened last year, but ultimately what's happened is that there's that divine intervention that's really become very prevalent within your life. So I think that kind of embracing what we talked about all the faith-based idea that you're trusting the universe and you're trusting the signs and recognizing them, continue to do that because that divine intervention or that intervention from the angels up above or however you want to think about it and process it is going to continue to show you all of those signs.
Nice.
So I hope that that makes sense today.
It does. It does. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Stephen, for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for your help.
Of course. Have a good night, hon. And to everyone out there. So we ran a little over tonight, but it was just fabulous. Sarah, I can't thank you enough. And I hope you'd be willing to come back on again and do some more readings and some more mediumship because that was fabulous with this grandmother. You have no idea how right on target you were with all your readings too. You did fabulous. You really did.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Auntie Dale. I love that he called you that. That's so sweet. Thank you for having me. It was an honor.
Oh, absolutely. And to everyone out there, thank you for joining us and have a wonderful week. And we will see you next week. Good night.